All right, welcome to the 5 a.m. grind. Horace, how's it going?
It's going great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
2021, a weekend. Time flies.
Time does fly.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so the topic for this episode, I thought we'd cover the 5 a.m. grind and how you plan out your day. So we call this podcast the 5 a.m. grind, obviously. There was a reason for that. We talked about like just morning routines, getting up at 5 a.m., but just wanted to zone in on this particular topic and just talk about our daily routines, whether or not we get up at 5 a.m. and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so in this episode, what we're going to cover is our morning routines. Horace and mine, we'll do like we'll compare our morning routines.
Were you going to say his and her?
His and hers. I was going to say that. I was like, oh, hold on, don't say his and hers. This is his and his. How do you usually plan out your day? And then how do you plan out your week, your month, your year? And then just between planning and execution, what's more important? That sort of thing. All right, so let's go to the first question then. Do you get up at 5 a.m.?
If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah,
no,
completely honest.
I don't.
Okay, so you don't. All right.
It's
so
a goal that I have, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just that right now, I try to get up at 5. I will get up normally at, I would say 6.
Okay, 6 a.m.
6.
It's close enough. It's an hour later, but close enough.
It's an hour makes a huge difference. 6 or if like the latest, like even on weekends, like after 7, it's a bit difficult for me to.
So weekends
sleep in.
7.
Yeah.
7. Okay.
I mean, if I push it, the thing is that I just feel like if I wake up later than that, I feel like I'm just lazy throughout the day. It just sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah, later than 7, you mean?
Yeah.
On a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
What about you?
So my routine has changed a little bit since COVID. So before COVID, my routine was get up at 5 a.m. I'm up. I usually pray, and then usually go to the gym for 6 a.m. I go to Good Life, right?
Oh, wow.
So 6 a.m. go to the gym. Done my workout at 7. I used to usually catch the 7 a.m. train or 7:30 a.m. train, depending. So that was before COVID.
So hold on. So for those of you international listeners,
Yeah.
You're talking about pre-COVID. So Ali lives in a suburb north of Toronto.
Correct, in Richmond Hill.
Richmond
That's
Hill,
right.
and that's about what's the distance between that and downtown Toronto?
Downtown Toronto, I'd say no traffic, that's 25 minutes. With traffic, 45 to an hour.
I mean, there's never no traffic, but
Like, 45
with the GO station or the subway, the bus.
Yeah.
How long does it take?
Go train would take you 50 minutes.
Takes you 50 minutes.
50 minutes.
So you're waking up
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. Actually, I should correct myself. I haven't been to the gym in a year. The gym opens at 5:30 a.m. So I'm usually at the gym at 5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Right? I work out usually 40 minutes. I'm usually back home by like 6:15-ish, right?
Yeah.
6:15, 6:20. And I usually just take a quick shower, eat breakfast, and then I'm out of the house.
Okay.
Yeah, at
Wow.
7.
That is it's a pretty jam-packed morning.
Yeah.
Running around. I don't really.
What I used to actually do is usually I have my. This is gonna sound a little bit like I'm a kid, but yeah, usually I have my clothes laid out. Like I know exactly what I'm gonna wear. So there's no thinking involved. There's just doing.
Well, when would you lay it out? Like
the night before. The night before. Yeah. So my lunch is packed. My clothes are done. Everything's out. Yeah. So it's just go work out, change, shower, and just go to work.
Wow.
Yeah. Now my routine is I get up at 5:30 a.m. And then it differs. So during so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which are days I work out, I usually work out first at 6 a.m. ish.
Okay.
Right, 6 a.m., 6:15, and then start my day with like reading the news, having breakfast, etc. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is the days I don't work out, I usually run. I usually run at lunch, but I still get up at 5:30, but I start working.
How many times in a day do you work out though?
So I usually go like a proper like weights or HIIT workout once, and then I usually go for a longer walk later in the afternoon.
Because me and Ellie have like the Apple Watches, and you could share.
The activity, the rings. Yeah.
And I'm getting pings throughout the day that you've completed so many things, and it makes me feel a little lazy. I'm not gonna lie. There's always a ping, and now it's come to the point where if like anybody's around me, like my brother or my wife or anybody, they'd be like, "Did Ali finish like another exercise? How often does this guy exercise?" I'm like, I don't know. But sure enough, it is him.
That's funny. That's funny. I'd say for me, just like similar to you on the weekends as well, I kind of take it easy. I usually get up at
Yeah.
6:30, sometimes 7. But yeah, usually Monday to Friday's pretty regimented.
Oh, wow.
Regimented. I don't know. Do you think like so you get up? Okay, so 6 is still pretty damn early. Do you think it contributes to your success?
No, it definitely does. It definitely does. Like, I'd like to get up at 6 in the morning and then pray.
Yeah.
And then I will, I don't know, I do a little bit of just like loitering, not loitering, but just emptying out. Right?
Okay.
So I like to like just take it easy. Now, taking it easy doesn't mean that like I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But like I will have like a little, I'll have a look to see if there's any new urgent emails coming in. And if I do, then I will start thinking about them or responding to them if I have to.
Yeah.
And this is stuff like with the business, if there's certain things that just need my attention right away
Yeah.
or that day, I start planning it out right away. If not, then I'm looking at all the work that needs to be delegated and the work that needs to be reviewed for the day first. And then once all of that is completed, then I'd move into more what I need to do for the day.
For the day. Got it.
It's a lot of, again, I wake up and there's a lot of planning being done in the morning part of my day.
Yeah.
Again, I don't really go to the gym. I'm not going to.
Yeah. So I'll cover that planning bit because it's interesting. I'd like to pick your brain on that. But just wanted to backtrack. So how many hours of sleep do you get? Usually weekdays? Just estimate approximately?
Like 7 hours.
7 hours? Okay.
7 to
Yeah,
8.
I'd say
like
it's
try to
about-
get 8, but it's probably 7.
Probably 7. Okay. Yeah, I'd say it's about 6 or 7 for me. I was doing some research actually on Google.
Yeah.
Find out to just look at other people's routine.
Yeah.
So apparently Kevin Hart, article in Huffington Post, he gets up at 5:30 a.m.
Well,
Mark Wahlberg, this one's pretty damn crazy. Mark Wahlberg apparently gets up at 2:30 a.m. according to the BBC. He goes to sleep at 7:30 p.m. But yeah, Mark Wahlberg 2:30 a.m.
2:30 is intense.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah, no,
like who the 2:30
I
a.m.
think
is
people
crazy.
going to sleep. There's enough people in the world
Going
going
to sleep at 2:30.
He's waking up.
And then Dwayne Johnson, so he gets up at 3:30 a.m. He actually says he just needs 3 to 5 hours of sleep, which is also ridiculous. But yeah, there you go. 3 examples of like very intense.
What I
individuals.
find though is my, I guess, high mental activity, like work that I need to do.
Yeah.
It's all done in the morning. Now, if I wake up at like 5 or whether I wake up at 7, I feel like when the afternoon arrives, my gear changes and I'm kind of...
You slow down.
Yeah, I'm slowing down.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it doesn't matter when I wake up.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's not like I'm going to do a particular activity for 5 hours and then slow down.
Yeah.
It's more like at this time, I start slowing down.
Yeah, maybe it's like you had lunch or food or something that you slow down.
I mean, it's not even just food. I feel like it's just the time. And like with the food, I've looked at that and I'm like, am I eating too much or am I eating the wrong things? Because I don't want to feel sleepy in the middle of the day.
Right.
And it does seem like it's just around that time everything starts slowing down. Like all my decision-making activities I'd like to do in the morning. And in the afternoon, it is more like just implementing and not necessarily trying to bring things together to make a decision.
Yeah.
It's just work. You could say it's busy work, if anything.
Right. That's good. That's interesting because I kind of heard the same thing. I think it was like Ryan Serhant. And I told you, I remember I recommended the book. He's the real estate agent in New York. Selling New York, I think is called his show. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially what he says is he also gets up at like 4 a.m. or 4:30 a.m., something stupid like that. But what he says is he usually works out and he says, I like to do the hardest things of my day first, right? Because once you've done that hard thing, everything else is easier.
Yeah.
So I sort of used his approach as well. And I try to sort of look at my to-do list and then try to do the hardest thing that I've been putting off first and then do the rest of the stuff. I find that helps. It just sets a good momentum for the day, right? Like a vibe. Actually, so talking about that, just morning routines, how do you usually plan out your day? So you said you sort of loiter.
I mean,
plan it out?
so in the morning, I don't want to just get up and start aggressively trying to attack the work.
Right.
And it's not because I'm trying to be lazy. I just feel like I just need some time. I don't want to be overwhelmed by the work. And I feel like if you're attacking it, the work comes off or appears to me mentally as something that's going to be very strenuous.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get at it in first thing in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
I like to make it, to some extent, the work is there and needs to be done, and I will do it. But at the same time, it's not going to overcome me in any way.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense. It's more of a psychological thing. So I like to take kind of my time, and I plan basically, in terms of planning my day, it really goes down to like planning. I have like long-term goals, like for example, where I see my business at the end of the year.
Yeah.
To get to that end of the year, I need A, B, C, D done.
Yep.
And then from there, when I know those high goals are set, I don't necessarily have like dates where it's like, okay, I need assignment A done by first quarter or second quarter, anything like that.
Yeah.
It's more like I try to get it as much done as possible. So the first part of like priority of work in every single day is the stuff that I can't avoid for the next week, right? And I will make sure that work is delegated, and I review it, and I make sure that everything's kind of on track. And after that, I start looking at more of the medium-term goals that are adding to the long-term goals.
Okay.
Okay, so if my long-term goal, hypothetically speaking,
Yep.
is to bring the firm to like $10 million, $100 million, whatever that revenue number is, right? It's different for everyone. And I say, okay, well, in order for me to jump that high, I need to make A, B, C, D, right? So now first is going to be A. Well, how am I going to get A done? I will get as much as I can and delegate and do as much as I can every single day. I don't know if this is the most effective way, because I know a lot of people, it's like, okay, we need to get it done by this quarter or that quarter or whatever. For me, one of the things that really kind of stands out is, I think it was Warren Buffett, who just felt like you should have a lot of empty time in your schedule, and everything shouldn't be packed, because that's where the creative thinking comes out.
Right.
So I do like to have some kind of spontaneity in my thought during the day.
Yeah.
Right. So but you have to then balance that with getting the work done. So that's kind of a constant battle for me, where I'm planning and I'm trying to get to the next level, but I don't want it so tight where it's like, oh, I got to have it done by this Friday, or everything is kind of going to burn down.
Yeah. Interesting. I think so. The next question we were going to cover was also, how do you plan out your week, your month, and year? The way I sort of do it is, I was showing you my planning system before this podcast, which is like sort of all done in notes. So if any of you have an iPhone or a Mac or anything like that, I do everything in notes in that notes app. And the way I actually do it is, I start with my year goals, what my goals are for 2021 this year. And then break it down into monthly chunks. And then I sort of break it down to like what things approximately I'm going to do per week, and then daily as well. And the reason why I do that is because I know, like, truly, I'm a bit of a lazy person. And unless I schedule things, so you said you don't really schedule stuff, like it's not really time-based. For me, if I don't schedule stuff according to a certain time, I don't get them done. So that's how I am. And usually the way I attack my day is I take whatever I'm going to do for the week, and I break down, okay, this is what I'm going to do on Monday, let's say, and I'm going to do task number 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and then number 1, number 4, number 3 in the afternoon. I usually try to plan to do 2 or 3 things per day, whether it's related to my business, stuff, the creative stuff I'm trying to do, like take pictures, do my blog, do this podcast, whatever it is. But yeah.
Well, how much time do you spend planning?
So you know, you can go into it. There's a rabbit hole in planning. You could just get lost in planning, right? I find, you know what, I've tried different systems. Like I've tried a journal and this like notes app that I told you about. I find, I don't know, the notes app just works for me. It's a bit of an organized mess, like you saw. It's just like notes like in an app. But I think it works for me.
So where do you draw the balance of like planning and then over planning?
It's a good question. It was going to be one of our questions here too.
Was?
yeah, the last one. But you know, we can attack it now.
I mean, forget about that question. Okay, the planning. What was the question?
Planning and execution. Actually, it's different. Over planning. No, you could get lost in over planning. Like before, I used to be a little bit like that. I used to be like, oh, I need to have the perfect tool to plan stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Like what I use it as a note that Apple gives you for free.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's good enough for me. And the reason why I type it up, I don't know, I'm usually faster at typing it up. And when I write stuff like in a journal, I tend to find like if I need to flip to a monthly schedule and then weekly, it's too much. You know, you can just put everything in like that notes
Yeah.
app, and you can see everything in once, right?
Yeah.
You see your year, your month, your week, whatever. It's all there. It's easier to see.
I know it's funny you said that because with the month and the week stuff,
Yeah.
before, like I do sometimes I will have things I would want to write down.
Yeah.
So if there's a lot of stuff going down, I would put down my just high level goals, what I need to get done for the week.
Yeah.
And it's mostly a week or a monthly kind of plan or a yearly. But for the most part, I'm kind of doing everything off the cuff, as bad as that sounds. But when it does get a bit too much, I would sometimes go out and buy one of those
Those
planners,
agendas or
those
planners.
agendas,
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd use it for a week or two.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, whatever, because I don't want to rewrite it down every single month.
Yeah,
what
yeah,
my goals
yeah.
are, because
Right.
it's like what you said. You know what your goals are. Once I wrote it down once, that's all I kind of needed.
Right.
And I
Right.
would keep pursuing it.
Yeah. I find with writing as well, I don't know, especially like that. So that was frustrates me sometimes. If I didn't do something in week 1 and I need to write it down again in week 2, I'm like, why am I repeating myself? That's why I don't know. I like to do
Yeah.
it digitally because it's just easier to move stuff.
Yeah, but there's also for me, there's something about just
Putting pen to paper.
yeah, and it's not about necessarily like it's. I understand that when especially with my business, there's always been times, and there still is, where you're just constantly involved and you don't know when to turn off and you
Yeah.
don't know when to stop, and you're constantly just running, right?
Right.
It's a sprint.
Right.
Then when I realize like it's more of a marathon,
Yeah.
I like to sometimes have these little things where I patiently kind of sit there
Mhm.
and teach myself how to just kind of step back. And so writing activity for me is one of those things where definitely it's easier for me to type it out and I'll do it once and then it's done. But to patiently write it out, it gives me that patience to be just consistent, if anything,
Right.
and deliberate and persistent on completing something.
Mhm.
And it's that like kind of calm, and it's that I do want to inculcate in myself the ability just to be creative by not having a whole lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Interesting. I guess I was gonna ask you this then. How do you prioritize? Because that's always you always have things that are sort of grabbing your attention at the same time. This is demanding your attention. Something else is demanding your attention. How do you prioritize?
so there's like two big things that I have to first look at. First of all, I have to look at the immediacy of the problem at hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I have like a client file that I need to look at, I can't just push it off to the next month.
Yeah.
If it's due at a certain time, it's pretty much due at that time. I need to make sure I review it before then. So I'll make sure that I review with whoever is on that file at the firm, and I'll make sure that everything is done accordingly. And so I'll have a chunk of time planned out for that, and I'll be asking for updates and giving direction as to what needs to be done. So
Yeah.
there's that portion of priority. Then there's the overall like business priority. With a business priority, my mindset is not as clean. It's more like if my business is at A, I need to get it at B. If I need to get it at B, what's the first step I need to take? And with that first step, what are the problems that are going to be created? Because it's not easy to just scale from doing X amount of work to X times 2. Because X times 2, you're going to have logistics issues. You're going to have all these other things that need to be planned out. And so I'm looking at like, okay, so if I doubled my business tomorrow, what's my weakest link? Okay, and if that's my weakest link, that means that's my priority in figuring out how to fix it. When is it that I can fix it, or when I should fix it? When is enough work justifiable to change the way work is being done? I don't know if that makes sense right now.
Yeah.
But it's more like constantly seeing the pressure points of the business. If I want it to grow, what's going to break, and making sure that I am there before it breaks and I fix it before it breaks. So that's kind of the priority. Because other priority is always having the business grow, right? So
Yeah.
if I want to, I'll give you an example, okay, to make it more tangible. If I want to double my business, first issue is going to be marketing. Okay, how can we change our marketing to double that business?
Yeah.
Or do we just need to spend more money with what we're doing? So that's number one, right? Because if we spend more money with what we're doing and it doesn't change, that means that's the first thing that's going to break. So if we fix that, and then I say, okay, well, once we get that business in, the biggest issue there, next one is when people are conducting the work, right in the beginning, the intake of the client is going to break. Then I'll figure out, okay, well, what can we do to change, and how much more work do we need to justify that change?
Right.
So that's how I prioritize more, again, like immediacy. So if something's gonna be, if I need to address something by like right now, I have to do it right now. And then my long-term goals, it's just more of a mental exercise to see what needs to be done.
Got it. Do you sometimes, just planning out your day, going back to that, do you sometimes try to take on more than you can handle just to like make sure you're trying to achieve like even 80% of what you had planned? Is it considered a success?
No, I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah, we did.
And I think, yeah, I do. There hasn't been a day where I've gone to bed and everything is done.
Okay.
So there's never been.
Okay, so you try to load in more than you can do.
I just keep working.
Purposely?
So I don't necessarily have, for example, you said that you schedule it, right?
Yeah. I schedule it. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I don't necessarily do that. I just have a list of things that need to be done.
Okay.
And so when one is crossed off, I move to the next one, and I move to the next one, and move to the next one until there's no more hours in the day and I need to go to sleep or something else comes up. So I just keep going. So there's never me going to bed and thinking, okay, everything is done.
Mm-hmm.
There are days where I feel like today was nice. Like I feel like I accomplished a lot. And there's days where it's like, okay, well, I didn't do a lot today, and I'll try to figure out why.
Yeah.
And fix it for the next day.
Yeah.
But it's never necessarily for that day I have X amount of things to do. Right. What about you? I know you have.
Yeah, no, I'm very much, so very much like that. So like I told you, every day I try to schedule a certain number of tasks. So the way I usually like to think of it is, when you're doing like sets and reps when you're lifting weights, so you do 3 sets of 12, let's say. I can't count to 12 when I'm doing my sets. I can't. I don't know. I usually count in 4. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's exactly the same method I use to break down my day. I usually take whatever I need to do during the week, break it down into like 3 tasks on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, something like that. But yeah, I usually do it like that.
How do you stay on par with what you're doing? Like so if you have those 4 tasks on Monday, how do you make sure you complete those 4 tasks on Monday?
So I usually, so let's say Monday I get up at 5, I'm working out. I usually attack the hardest thing in the morning. Like whatever Ryan Serhant said, I usually try to do that. If it's like, let's say something I need to write, like a blog I need to write, I'll try to do that in the morning. So that way that is done. Like at least the draft is done, right? At least like I have my thoughts in paper. And then whatever. Obviously when you write a blog or anything like that, or you write some sort of something that's creative, like a paper for work or a memo or a report, you do a first draft. You review it a few times before you submit it anyway. So I like to sort of do a first draft of it, just get it done, and then I'll review it later.
Is it because if there's like a huge task, it's on the back of your mind?
It is, yeah.
And that's why you try to do it first?
Yeah. Okay. And just in general, I found, quite lately as well, whenever I have things to do, like I don't know, and there's a list of stuff that I need to accomplish or finish, I try to do as much as I can immediately. I don't know. There's an immediacy now as well. I never used to have that before. Before, I used to be the type of guy that used to be like, oh, I have a to-do list. I can do this tomorrow. Now I try to, whatever I can do today, I try to get it done as well.
For me, I'm like that. If I have something written down and for today, I'll be like, I probably could finish it tomorrow.
Okay.
But when I don't, I just have lists. For me, I also, and it's going to sound a little weird, I turn it into more of a spiritual exercise.
Okay.
Right? So where it's like I'm trying to get rid of the self. There's no ego. I'm just trying to do the work. And there isn't an immediacy, but there is a responsibility to get it done at the right amount of time.
Right.
So I try to do that. I'm shifting more into that because I felt like with me in the beginning, I was about the immediacy.
Yeah.
And it was, and not that I don't do that now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't.
Yeah.
There are times where, okay, I got to get it done.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times where with the work where I'm slowly shifting into more of this is a coming from a place of I need to get it done. It's not about me or mine or my accomplishment of getting it done, but the work needs to get done. And so I take the self out of the equation, or I try to at least.
Interesting. Cool. So different approaches.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm more of like a methodical. You're less
Yeah.
methodical. You're
Yeah.
more sort of abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. All right. So the last one, I think I know what you're gonna say to this one because we might have the same answer for this. Planning versus execution. What's more important?
Execution.
Yeah, execution 100%. Because like I told you, that planning stuff, and you say you were saying, oh Ali, like you're like overkilling it, right? Doing it like notes and stuff. But yeah, dude, there's so many tools that people try to sell you on the internet for planning, journaling, and they're expensive too. But dude, you could have the best plan. If you don't get up and execute, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's just words on a freaking piece of paper.
For most people, I feel like planning is fulfilling in itself. They feel like they've accomplished something.
Correct.
But
it's
they haven't
very
really
true.
done anything.
Actually,
it's an
that's
illusion.
Yes.
Because they spent some time.
It's actually a
they
really
wrote
good
it
point.
out, and
Yes.
then they're like, okay.
Yes. Or like, oh, like look at my fancy plan. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this week and this and that. Oh, I'm done. No, dude, you haven't done the work that's supposed to be done.
Yeah. No, and it's like going
You've
to the
just
gym,
written
right?
it down.
You can write down your routine that you're going to work out this and you're doing
Yeah,
this, whatever.
yeah.
But going to the gym and
Consistently
actually
doing it,
it's a whole different
that's the
ballgame.
results, right?
Yeah.
It's not writing a workout plan down.
Yeah.
Like who cares? It's like the same thing with a diet as well. You can write out your diet, but if you're not following and executing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can have the fanciest or best diet.
I'm big on planning. Like a lot of people do need to get everything sorted out.
Yeah.
Most people do. But at the same time, people, that's where they get kind of get stuck. I feel like a lot of people who are aspiring entrepreneurs, and why I say aspiring is because a lot of times people will consider themselves as entrepreneurs, but they're not executing on anything.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is planning.
Yeah.
And they're doing exactly what you said, where there's all this stuff that you can buy. It's easy to go and buy.
Yeah.
And go, oh, I want to have this and this. Oh, I just need this, and everything's going to be planned out.
Yeah. If I
right?
have this tool, I'll have the best plan.
Yeah.
No,
It
that
doesn't work
doesn't
out.
work. Yeah.
It
It doesn't
never
matter
works
about the
out.
tool. Your tool could be like half as good, and you're still gonna do well.
And especially with business, sorry, not to
Yeah.
cut you
No.
off,
Go ahead.
But with business, more often than not, your plans are going to fail. So
Yeah.
you have to execute to fail.
Correct.
To understand what you need to fix.
I
for the
so
next
so
time.
exactly on that. I was gonna say Mike Tyson has a really good quote on this. He says everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Right? So you can have the best. You can have the best plan, but like let's be honest, life is such that there are unexpected events and occurrences that happen, right? And you wouldn't have planned for those, and you need to be able to adjust, fine tune in real time.
I mean, and
right?
depending on what those plans are, especially for business.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm bringing it back to business is because that's what we're all about.
That's what we're all about. That's right.
But when you're planning for business, it's a purely conceptual, figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm going to go do this, and that's how I'm going to get clients or customers, and they want this and that or whatever. In your mind, the way you're planning it out, and then what steps you're kind of turning that plan into is all in your mind. You do not know that that's what's going to happen in real life.
Yeah.
In your mind, well, if I do this, of course everybody's going to buy it. Right?
Until
you get punched in the mouth.
Right.
Right? So it's like that planning is good. You need to have that plan and be like, okay, I'm going to try this, but then you're going to fail, you're going to fall down, you got to get back up again.
Yeah, totally. It's so true. It's even like the way I plan my day as well. It's more like lists. It's not some sort of a fancy type of, mechanism or instrument that I'm using. It's more like lists. Here's what I need to do. It just keeps me on track. That's what it is. To hold yourself accountable. Yeah. I do think that that's important though. Holding yourself accountable and being deliberate about this is important. Accountability,
and I think we're going to save that for another podcast.
Yeah, maybe another podcast.
But accountability is huge, because if you're not holding yourself accountable to finish anything, it's nothing.
Yeah. Cool.
People just kind of get lost.
Yeah. Interesting. So key takeaways, just about getting up at 5 a.m., planning your day. What do you think? Any final thoughts?
Key takeaway is, I think, as we've kind of discussed, everybody has their own kind of
thing that works for them.
Definitely. But that doesn't mean that you should be lazy. You got to figure out what that is that works for you, whether it's more my style, which is a bit more abstract, for better or for worse, or where you're planning, where your style is, where you're kind of planning it out. A bit more structured, and so whatever it is, you got to figure out your path and then and go about it that way.
Go about it that way. Okay. Okay. What I'll say is, yeah, like, look, planning, getting up at 5 a.m., do it or not. You know, a lot of successful people do it. I find that it works for me. I'm just a normal sort of morning person, so it works for me. And then what I'd say about planning is that you could have the fanciest plans, but if you're not executing, it doesn't really matter, right? So between planning and execution, execution wins 100% of
Yeah.
the time. But you know what? Planning is good because you got to be deliberate about what you're scheduling, what you're doing, what you're
Yeah.
prioritizing. So planning is good for that. And it's good to sort of hold yourself accountable. If you plan to do 3 things, at the end of the day, ask yourself, did you do those 3 things?
Yep.
And then kind of take it from there. All right.
We're done.
That's it. We're done.